So here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
What is up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. I am so excited to be able to share this episode with you. And it's really a kind of a personal story that I have. And it's something that I've talked about a little bit before on previous episodes. But I do think this is so vital. And no matter where you're at in your practice right now, that need for the right mentors. I had the great privilege, and I still am, so it's not that I don't ever do this. I don't do it as much anymore. It's kind of one of those hidden things that I do with clients that if they really specifically ask for it, I'll give it to them. But it's going through the Thinking and Results program with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And Bob Proctor has been one of my most influential mentors in my entire life, not just inside of dentistry, but outside of dentistry. How I perceive things, how I view the world, my habits, how I study now, all of these things have been more influenced by Bob Proctor than anyone else. And so, I always still, view it almost as a privilege to be able to share his material and take dentists and non-dentists alike through it. But one of the things that he always talked about was this idea that you want to get mentors that have already done what it is you're trying to do and then emulate and follow exactly what they tell you to do. And I was talking to a fellow consultant who had a very specific goal in his consulting firm. So he works with insurance agents. And he was talking about how he's trying to grow his consulting business with insurance agents and help insurance agents become more successful into a $100 million company. And so when you grow to a $100 million company, what are you currently working on? What are you doing? How are you trying to do this? And he's now at $5 million a year with a two-man team. He just added a third salesperson, and it's him, and he does a one Q&A call. I think actually 2 Q&A calls a week, and then he's just working on developing his business. But the interaction with his clients is about 2 hours a week. That's a beautiful business. It is. And he said the reality is, though, if I'm trying to get to 100 million and it's a game and I'm scaling my business, I'm trying to help more insurance agents, I need to go find new mentors that are currently doing 100 million. And I was thinking about that in the dental space and how prophetic that actually is. We'll all have numerous mentors, right? And mentors come in our lives for very specific reasons, and they help us with very specific things. And right now, I'm currently listening to a book again for the third time. It's called Mastery by Robert Greene. He wrote the 48 Laws of Power, and just an amazing author. And his books are incredible. And the book about mastery was how we become masters. Just a very overarching, far-reaching book. And he talks about this idea of finding the right mentors, going through an apprenticeship phase, but then not being stifled by the mentors you currently have, and then find the next mentor or grow and become a master. And when I was listening and trying to connect all the dots and bringing it back to you guys, the listeners, the reality is when we have these mentors and we get to a certain level, and he said, the reality is one of the reasons that I got out of what I was currently doing is because I knew when I got to a certain level, I was pretty maxed out, and the guy that I was currently being mentored at never got to 100 million in his business. And he said, so I knew that he wasn't going to be able to teach me how to get to 100 million in my business because he himself was not at 100 million in his business. And I thought, wow, that's a really good piece of advice, right? How many times do we stick with mentors that are not going where we want to go, are not giving us the results that we want, and yet because they're a mentor, we think, oh, they know all the answers. The reality is a lot of mentors don't know all the answers, but they know the answers that you needed at this specific time that you were a mentee, you have to be able to take full responsibility to go find the next mentor that's going to help you grow to the next level. And the reason I bring this up is because this is something that I see a lot, and it's something that I've talked about in previous episodes, that like not every mentor is made for you. Right? Go find mentors that are doing things that you want to do and emulate, and then go follow everything that you possibly can, learn as much as you can from them. And then if you want to go to the next level and that mentor is not going to take you there, then you have to move on to the next mentor, but now you're building on the skill set you already have. I don't try to be all things to all people in my dental practice. My dental practice is an extension of who I am as a person. I have never had a desire to grow my practice, have 6 or 7 associates, have 40 team members, and make $10 million in my practice, but have an 80% overhead. That's just not a model that I've ever ascribed to or followed. The reality is there's nothing wrong with that model. But for me personally, what I'm trying to do in other business ventures and things like that, like I wanted a lifestyle practice to where I could practice 3 days a week. I could continue to hone my craft, but I could also work on these other businesses that I have a passion for, right? Podcasting, I have a passion for podcasting. Growing the coaching side of my business, I truly have a passion for that. Helping people develop the sales skills necessary to deliver comprehensive case acceptance. I have a passion for that. Helping teams be able to do that for those doctors that are working in that capacity. I have a passion to do that. And so, it really depends on what kind of practice you want to create, who has went where you want to go, and how do you find relationships with these mentors. And here's the real big piece of the puzzle. Do exactly what they tell you to do. Spend the money necessary to get to the highest level of coaching. Right. The other part of the piece that was just eye-opening to me is this consultant that I was talking to, the guy that works with the insurance agents. We have very similar levels, and his business just took off. He's doing things in his business that I did not do yet in my own business, but he'd scaled very well, and he did it in the way that he was still able to keep a life. He said, Steve, honestly, my life is better now than it's ever been, because my business works for me. I don't work for my business. And I was like, oh, it's so amazing, because how many times have I've said that on other podcast episodes, like, don't build a business that you can't maintain, right? You have to build a business that supports what you want your life to be like, not vice versa, not the other way around. And so when I was talking to him about this, he said, when I decided to work with a new mentor, I asked how much it would be to get one-on-one training with this mentor. Is a pretty big mentor, and they said it was going to be $15,000, and that's like a 1-hour course, 1-hour training with him. And I mean, we think about this like, who would pay $15,000? This guy's going to pay $15,000 because he's building a $100 million company, right? We have to think that way. We have to scale our brains and our mind to think that way. And he said, and it's totally worth it because it does one thing. It allows me to get in close contact with the mentor that I know I need to be with to scale my business to $100 million. So whatever investment it takes for me to get close to him and get in his circle of influence, get around him as a person, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to make that decision like that. And I was thinking, wow, like his ability to make decisions is something that I can take in my own practice. So as you guys are starting to think about what kind of business do you want, what kind of practice do you want, what kind of life do you want outside of your practice, these are all going to be influenced, or these are all going to influence what kind of mentors you're seeking out. So make sure that you're finding people that are going where you want to go, right? If you want to do TMJ treatment and you want to have a smaller office, that's where I've been, right? You want to scale and grow your practices, you may need a different mentor. If you want to scale and grow your practices in the confines of 3 days a week and still be a solo provider, maybe I still can help, right? And I just tell you that from honest opinion, that I can't tell you how to have 3 or 4 practices in good faith and say that it would work, because I've never done it. But there are certain things that I have done that I think I can contribute to anybody to grow their sales skills, grow their, your office, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. Like, you have to find mentors that have been where you want to go, and then go find everything out that you can from that mentor. And when the time comes, then you move on to a new mentor. I've had 10, 15, 20 mentors before. I've had 4 mentors in my life that are truly people that I emulate and I look up to and I think about think about them all the time, and how can I study from them? How can I continue to learn from them, right? You're going to have that core group. And then you're going to be able to find the bits and pieces you need from other mentors. So, just think about, who are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of coaches do you have in your life? What kind of mentors do you have in your life? Are you interacting with these mentors on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis? To simply read something or digest something but never apply it, never interact with the mentors, never interact with your coaches, that's not going to get you where you need to go. I truly believe that. You got to get in depth. You got to get in focus. You got to contact these coaches. You got to say, hey, what do I need to do to get to your highest level? Because one thing I've learned in the coaching and consulting side of things, and this is what you can take, as you start to find mentors for your own practice, is there's always a set thing that coach or mentor really wants to do with their clients. There's a highest point of contribution, right? I have a very specific objective with my clients at the highest level, what I want them to achieve, what I want them to understand. Right? And I have a program that delivers that. But it might take 2 or 3 programs to even build up to that level of understanding so I can give them the highest level. When you start working with mentors, spend the money, spend the time, do whatever you possibly can to get to that highest level as fast as possible, because that is going to be where the real growth occurs. So hopefully you got value out of this. And you guys, thanks so much for listening. I've heard so many great things. Always, leave ratings, leave reviews on iTunes. That would be really beneficial. I'm probably going to start to look at how do I expand this podcast out besides iTunes. I will probably be doing some interviews pretty soon, which I'm really, really excited about. I think we have a big enough base. But here's the thing, guys. I know in podcasts that we can always interview some of the same people. I get that. I'm going to try to bring in a lot of people outside of dentistry so that you can bring it back into your dental practice. There are some amazing marketers and salespeople on planet Earth today, and my goal on this podcast is to bring them to you so that you can continue to grow your sales skills, which gives you ultimate freedom, I believe, in your dental practice. As you know, I've said this on numerous occasions, the number one skill to me that every dentist needs to develop to fast track themselves to financial success and freedom in their practice is their sales skills. Without those sales skills, it's very difficult to do this effectively. Sure, you can build a larger office, you can do single tooth dentistry, but here's the deal. That's not the most satisfying thing in the world. So wouldn't it be nice if you had a practice that was creating financial freedom for you, but you're still making a difference in the patients' lives that you serve by giving them complete care, by phasing treatment, by doing things that, I'll be honest, when I started this journey and I started doing some of the cases that I was doing, I never thought I'd even get to that level. I never thought I'd be a dentist that could do some of the stuff that I'm doing now. And it's not because I'm special. In fact, let's say I'm a very generic dentist when it comes to technical skills. Just put the systems and the pieces together to be able to deliver that in my practice. So those sales skills are absolutely fundamental. And so if you're getting value out of this podcast, please leave reviews, please leave ratings. Always, if you want to learn more about how to increase your case acceptance, go to dentalsalessecrets.com. That is a free webinar and free training that you have access to. And at the end of it, there's an opportunity to get into, the program that is near and dear to my heart, Dental Sales Secrets. It's a culmination of all my years of study and working with these mentors that I'm talking about and putting it into a course to help you take it into your dental practice. So whenever you're listening to this, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.